Hi, everyone. For start of this session, I would like to ask you to close your eyes. Just for a moment, imagine your life about a year ago or a year and a half. So you probably worked in a local or in the office or went to the university. So you had to go there every morning. So imagine for a second your commute. Imagine leaving your front door. How are you getting there? Are you walking? Are you with the car? Maybe using a public transport. So, what streets are you taking? Is there a street you usually try to avoid? Or do you prefer some other streets? Do you always take the same routes or do you like to change? Is it always a rush hour? Or you casually get your coffee and a bagel on your way? What is usual experience of this journey you have to take or you had to take some time ago? Just think about it for a second. Let me guess. It depends on a day, does it? It depends if all the lights are red or green. It depends if the metro broke down. It depends if it was sunny or heavy rain. So a lot of things affect your journey to work, as well as a lot of things affect your web browsing journey. Think about it. Navigating through web is just like navigating a city, just on a bit larger scale. So we have to pass through some websites in order to get to our destinations, which is usually a piece of information, maybe a product we want to buy, or just that apartment with sea view we are so wishing to book right now. So usually we start in a Google search, our virtual front door. We enter some keywords and suddenly there are many, many pages of results. Just like if you were in the crossing and had so many streets that you can choose in front of you. It's great how fast the search are. You know, you wouldn't want it to take 2-3 minutes to open, just like my garage door. It takes forever. So you skimmed these pages and decided to click on one, no? And here you are. You're actually turning your first corner. You know, you're entering a different street and whoa, there's a queue of cars. No, it's a traffic light and it's waiting there forever. And in a website world, it means it's loading and loading and loading. And then actually, depending if you have that 8 o'clock meeting or you don't, it will get more frustrating or less, of course. But we're in the 21st century. And one thing about the 21st century is that no one likes waiting. The longer user has to wait for it, the website, it's loading, and the worse experience it gets for them. So speed of your website directly affects the user journey. And we want to make every user journey the best we possibly can. My name is Ines Akrap. I'm a front-end software engineer and eccentric specialized in web performance. And today I would like to show you how to improve your user's web journey using Core Web Vitals. So I was born and raised in Zagreb. I currently live in Munich, Germany, though, struggling to learn some German, even though I really love learning languages. But yeah, this one is actually a hard one. So it doesn't matter if it's a normal, like spoken one or programming, language definitely are my passion, as well as teaching. So in my free time, I volunteer for the Female Tech Leaders, as also organization in Munich, where I teach people programming. So if you want to learn programming, you know where to go. So enough about me. Let's just dig straight into the Core Web Vitals and why are we actually here today? So why am I trying to explain you this today? Why am I conveying this message to you? So over the years, web performance community that's led by Google has been providing a number of different tools and measures that will dare to help us optimize sites for amazing user experiences. And I guess the issue there is that they were sometimes just really, really overwhelming. So take it from me, when I entered in this whole field, even like with my master's degree in telecommunications, which means I do know my networks, it was quite overwhelming. The more technical you get, it was getting super, super confusing and overwhelming. And actually guided with that thought, with the thought that website owners shouldn't hold a degree in networks and shouldn't have to be web performance experts to understand how quality works. Google decided last year to introduce these 3 core metrics that would reflect how users are experiencing the site. They just decided to simplify and make it easy to understand for everyone. So these metrics are core web vitals. And also why they're really, really important is that from the May this year, so from the May 2021, they are going to be included in the calculation for the navigation position. So for the search positioning, core web vitals will be included. So that is also why we want to optimize them. So now that we know why, what are they? So core web vitals, first of all, they are a subset of web vitals. So web vitals are just a bit bigger group of all these metrics. And again, they do overwhelm, but they're also useful for people who do know, who are experts, to know to just dig deeper. But in order to make it easier for everyone to just make some simple benchmark, Google decided to make 3 most important ones, just the core ones. And each one of these represents a distinct aspect of user experience. So we have loading, we have interactivity, and we have visual stability. They're meant to be measured in the field. So they're meant to be measured for all the users, because a lot of us live in this tech bubble where we have our great devices, we have our high-speed networks, and sometimes we don't feel that there is a whole world outside of this bubble that may not have these advantages. Well, you can feel it on your own skin, no, just when you actually take this metro, when you're reading the news on your phone in the metro, how stable your connection is, how fast your phone is. Even though if you have a US model, then again, your network is not as bad, as good as it can be like at home. So these metrics are meant to be measured in the field for all the different users. And what Google also likes to emphasize is that they're not perfect, and they will be worked and improved over the years. So they're already asking for feedback to the whole community, and community will help with that. So let's say you want to buy a new sofa. Let's go on this journey. So you have the old one and you need a new one. So we go to our door to the virtual world, which is our search engine. We search for a sofa. We get some list of results. We get a lot of different furniture stores there. Maybe we prefer some, so to match all of our furniture that's already from there. So we chose that one, or you just skim it and see who has the coolest name. Doesn't matter. You pick one, you click on it, and you ended up on their page. So it's usually their homepage. And a lot of homepage have this similar structure where they have this big image or a banner that it's always kind of there, or a video as well, which is actually what our largest contentful paint is, which is a first web vital as well. So depending when this piece of information loads, this is a piece of crucial information that shows you what's happening. And this piece, when it loads, it just shows you like, the page is there. Because again, a lot of people don't like blank pages. So when you click on one of the links from your search engine and just have to wait for ages for something to open, again, depending if you're in a hurry or not, you're maybe going to give up and just go to some different store. So optimizing the largest contentful paint is quite important in this case. So you got to your page. Let's say largest contentful paint was great. So you got to your page. And the second thing you actually want to do, which is something we want to do all the time on the internet, it's the way that we function on internet, is to interact. We want to do something. So as I already mentioned, being on a web is a journey. We go from our entry point to we want to do something. So in this case, we want to buy sofa. So you're on a homepage, you're not there yet, you didn't buy it. So you're just continuing your journey. And what's the next thing you want to do? You want to click on something, you want to go on. And in order to go on, you have to follow some path. So to get to your sofa, you're thinking, okay, I can search for it, or I can just go to the menu. You decide for a menu, let's say. You click on the menu and it's not opening. Menu not opening, it's metric called first input delay. So that's how we actually measure it. It's interactivity. How long does it take for the site to actually interact with you? it can get really frustrating. I myself am a rage clicker. So sometimes, even though I know why it's happening and all, it's just sometimes, you really need an information and it's not opening and you had a bad day. So first input delays can be really frustrating for users as well. So your menu opened. And when it opened, you found your sofas, you clicked on it, and now you're on a page that has a whole list of the sofas. So you go through these sofas, you're kind of just casually browsing to them, you find the one you like, and you see there is see more. You want to see more images, you want to see some more details, how big it is, and you want to go to page of that sofa. You click the page, and all of a sudden in front of you, there is a page that is not the sofa that you actually wanted. So it's something different. And you check that page and it's like, what? That's not the one. So you go back and you see that again, like on the point where your mouse was, it's not the sofa you decided on. It's like, what happened? Like, am I crazy? No, you're not crazy. Cumulative layout shift is what happened. So this is our third core web vital. And for me personally, actually the most exciting ones, because this is the behavior, this is this experience that I really, really, really do not like as a user. So when something starts shifting around the page, moving, when the links just slip my cursor and everything is just, for me, that's a really bad experience. You can see it a lot on the news pages when some advertisements come in and out of the sudden you don't know where you were. So this can as well be really, really frustrating for users, and it's quite important to optimize for it. So if all these were optimized, you have your sofa now. And now that you know what core web vitals are, I would like to dig deeper and show you how to measure them, and most important, how to improve them. So in order to improve something, we first need data. We need to measure, because there is a huge chance, if you were already designing and developing for good user experience, if you were mindful about designing for web performance, your core web vitals are most probably already good. So that's a great thing. You're going to have a lot of green on screen, which is amazing. It's always fun. But a lot of sites do not have it. So a lot of sites have a lot of overhaul there, and that just decrease their performance. So important thing is to measure and to see what actually causes any issues on the page. So believing that the core web vitals are critical to measure the web experience, Google is actively adding these metrics to all their popular tools. So here on the slide, you can see some of the Google tools that already implement these measures. And you can also see I separated them into two groups. So the field one and the lab one. Field ones are just continuing on what I already was talking about the tech bubble. So about measuring actual user experience. So all the users that interact with the site, no matter what type of device they have, no matter what kind of browser they have or internet connection, you're just measuring everyone. And with this, you get an actual overall picture about how your website is behaving, not only for your developers who work in their tech bubble, but just for every single person. And the lab one is actually the one helping you develop and optimize. So the lab ones are usually simulated, but they're available straight away. So you don't have to send it to the world to get maybe bad results. You can just straight away see what there is to improve. So these are the tools, and I would like to show you how to actually use them. So just a bit of a journey. So a good place to start would be your Search Console. So Search Console has a new Core Web Vitals report where we can identify a group of pages that require some attention of ours. So this, you can see it on the left image. This is just a screenshot from my own Google Search Console. There is this Core Web Vitals part. However, the second image is actually not from my own website. I actually got it from my colleague. Thank you for that, because I actually still don't have enough data. So this data on the right side it comes from the Chrome User Experience Report. It's a huge amount of data that's been collected over years about the websites and about real user, behavior on these websites by the users, from the users that do accept this. So from the users that allowed these metrics to be sent. It's really amazing because there are a few tools that help you navigate this amount of data. So if you just see this amount, you can't do anything with it. But other than Search Console, you can use a few other tools such as Google BigQuery Project that helps you analyze them, and Data Studio that helps you visualize them. So here you actually see what's happening with this data. You can have a lot of data and you can see how it's behaving. If you don't have this, so if you don't have data, there is an alternative way, which is to collect your own RAM data. So RAM, or real user monitoring data, is again the data that you collect straight away from the user sessions. And there is a small Web Vitals JavaScript library that you can add to your website and send your data directly to Google Analytics. So this is again really useful. But if you have your website quite new, like for example mine is, so I don't have a lot of visitors, I don't have any field data, what you can do is you can simulate for start. A great page to do this is actual PageSpeed Insights, where you can see both. You can see both lab as well as field data. So this is awesome. Here at mine, where I'm just, showing off a bit with my perfect score, which again is there because I developed my site thinking about Core Web Vitals and thinking about web performance optimization. It's really basic. It doesn't have much JavaScript. So I minimize on everything. This is why I actually have here the perfect score. However, you can see there is a piece called field data where there is nothing. So it just there is not enough data there. So in order to show you this piece, I took a different site. So I just put Apple to analyze because I was just looking at my MacBook at the moment. So it's first thing that came to mind. And it's actually quite fun, just analyzing different sites and see how they behave. So here you can actually see that Apple is doing okay-ish. So they're like in the middle of this orange zone, which is not too good because as you can see, this field data that was saying that it cannot be calculated for my site and can be calculated for Apple because Chrome UX report has enough data for Apple. It says that it does not pass the Core Web Vitals assessment, and that is not good. At the moment, it's this moment in time, which is February 2021, it's not that important, but since May, it's going to be really important for search ranking. Here you can see as well that so Apple has really good first input delay. They have a good cumulative layout shift. However, their contentful paints are a bit problematic, which means they're having a problem with loading. So once you actually checked this, you checked your lab data, you can just like scroll down and see extra lab data. So you checked your lab data, you checked your field data, you go straight into you're just, eager enough to go into fixing this. Chrome DevTools and Lighthouse are going to be your best friends, like they're mine for a few years now. So they simulate this environment. So I guess important part here would be to say that Lighthouse simulates. So both cumulative layout shift and largest contentful paint are not the same because Core Web Vitals should be measured in the field, and this is the lab tools. So it's just kind of approximating. And also you can probably see that there is no first input delay in these metrics. Like if you concentrate of this small table below performance, there is no first input delay. That's because in lab we can't simulate this. We can't simulate interaction. So due to this inability to simulate interaction, we can still optimize it by optimizing for total blocking time. So total blocking time is just, shows you how much main thread is working. And if the main thread is working, that means that interaction cannot happen. It cannot respond to an interaction. So having a main thread not working all the time, it will improve your interaction as well. So here is that's actually how we can improve our our web vitals looking in the lab metrics. Great. So now we know how to detect if there's something wrong. So I hope you're still with me. I hope you're excited as well for the next part, which is going to be detecting what causes poor behaviors, and most important, how to avoid and fix it. So let's start with largest contentful paint. What causes largest contentful paint? As I already mentioned, largest contentful paint is all about loading. And here we are, we have these four that are absolute, standard suspects for causing bad loading. We have slow server response, slow resource load times, render blocking JS and CSS, as well as client-side rendering. So improving this is hard and easy at the same time. So here I have this small table which shows you the priority of the improvements you can make. In a way that the ones that are high, they're high priority because a lot of times they are so-called low-hanging fruits, which means that with the little or like almost none effort, you can achieve a lot. So let's say, for example, loading JS with defer or async, or loading JS asynchronously. It takes one word in your script and it can make a lot of difference. So, for example, comparing to use of the same network connection for HTML and LCP, that is a bit more tricky. It shows that it's helping, but it's tricky to implement. So here we have usage of the content delivery network, as well as, for example, avoiding unnecessary redirects. They're always good from the some kind of a server side for this start of loading to help this one. And then we have as well, don't target or A/B test largest contentful paint. So as a web performance expert, targeting and A/B tests are my worst nightmare. I did learn how to live with them, but when it comes to this, I do want to ask you to use them wisely. So be mindful about how you use targeting and A/B testing, because they're really useful tools, but it can be too much of them. And they do have its cost. So they can decrease your overall performance. This other one that is also really, really important, it's optimizing media assets. So media assets is as well enemy number one of a good performance, because a lot of times they're not optimized. So a lot of times we're serving images that are 2 megabytes big, on the mobile, which is just, it's with that type of connection you have, and maybe with the user having data saving on, or like a really small data plan. It's just it should be as optimized as it could get. All the images, all the videos, and similar. So there are great new formats out there that can compress images even better with the less loss. So check a bit into it, and please optimize media assets, as well as preloading. So preloading images as well help it. Preload, however, is again something that should be used wisely, because preloads gives our browser priority. So tells the browser that you want this to be prioritized. And if you prioritize everything, you prioritize nothing. Again, no, if everything is important, nothing is important. So again, preload should be as well. It's a really powerful tool, but as well should be used wisely and, not everywhere. And as well as inlining CSS that's needed for the LCP elements. So for years now, we've been using style sheets, which is, again, like preferred use of to do CSS and JS. However, inlining some pieces of code that we need really fast proved to be really beneficial. So, me drinking from this glass of water I have over here, or actually having to go to the kitchen to fetch myself a glass of water, is actually how this works. So if you have your piece of code straight inside of your HTML, it's way faster than if the browser has to actually find a style sheet, bring it back, and then find a piece of code it needs inside of the style sheet. So it just makes it faster. Okay, so the next one is first input delay. What causes poor first input delay? If you just check a bit these four images, you can see something repeating. So you see like the main and the largest suspect here, which is of course JavaScript. So first input delay, as I already explained, is as well, it's all about interactivity. And JavaScript is actually what makes interactivity. So usually we have HTML that provides some structure. We have CSS that provides styling, that provides paint. And then we have JavaScript that adds interactivity on top. But we started overusing this. There is so many JavaScript on the internet at the moment. Every site uses so much JavaScript. And there was actually this really cool talk I attended, I think a year and a half ago, before the lockdown, actually, where I remember this statement when the presenter said, the fastest JavaScript is the one that was never delivered. The one that does not exist on the site is actually the fastest one. And it's true. So we tend to overuse JavaScript just because we can. And this is, again, like a plea to developers as well as the designers and product owners. Think about what you actually need and think about the consequences. Think about the price you pay by putting that extra JavaScript, because it's going to be slower, which is going to have a bigger bounce rate, which in the end of the day affects your revenue. So in order to improve this and to improve the JavaScript, we can use smaller JS bundles. So split the code into smaller bundles and then load only the one we need. We can also not load all the third parties at the same time. Again, third parties, the biggest enemy of the web performance engineers. So third parties are also something to be really careful with, because they're useful for sure. But again, keep them up to date and make sure that you're using only the ones that you have on your site, only the ones you actually need, and the ones that are used and are helpful. So if you have to use more of them, please just don't load them at the same time. Prioritize them as everything. Give someone higher priority and run that one before. And the rest, you can always get some data maybe in some later stage of the loading of the page. And also there is one article I always remember when I think about main thread, which is like the name of the article was main thread was overworked and underpaid, which is absolutely true. So using this amount of JavaScript that we use these days, it's all going onto the main thread. So, and also, as I already mentioned, if main thread is busy doing something, it can't answer the response. It can't answer the input that we are, that user is asking from it. So there is the technology called workers that can help you to free the main thread to, outsource some tasks to a different thread and help you improve your first input delay. And the last but not least, and my favorite, is the poor cumulative layout shift. So if you remember what it is and what it does, then this won't come as a surprise. So images without dimensions, any ads, embeds, dynamically injected content, and web fonts are what are causing it. So anything that was not there and out of the sudden appears, it maybe has to wait for some answer or whatever. This is what caused a poor cumulative layout shift. So in order to improve it, there is actually a really simple technique, which is pre-allocating a layout space. So we can just allocate a piece, doesn't matter how much. So let's say you want to put some banner above, at top of your site. So if it comes late, if it takes some time to get actually that banner because it's maybe some advertisement, it's going to move your whole website once it comes, because everything is below it. So all these that are on top are quite important to optimize. So in order to avoid this, you can just already reserve it some seat. No, you can reserve a spot for this banner that's going to come in. So maybe sometimes you don't know exactly how big it's going to be, but you probably run already some campaigns. You can go in and see how was it behaving, because if it was banner, it's usually going to be, a similar size. It's not going to be vertical, it's going to be horizontal probably. So let's say you allocate 200 pixels and something that comes in, it's 300 pixels. That's already okay, because you already made this jump. So it's not jumping from 0 to 300, but it's jumping from 200 to 300. And that helps a lot. So pre-allocate layout space. Other thing is like setting image dimensions, which was done some time ago before the responsive design became a thing, which was quite some time ago, actually. However, yeah, it's a similar thing with images. Images don't have dimensions. So when they come, they're kind of, how many times, just think about it, how many times you were reading something and out of the sudden, the main image of the article came in and just like shifted everything down. So setting some image dimensions, or even better, at least aspect ratio. So just setting the aspect ratio of the image will make it responsive. And then again, it's gonna allocate some space for this image and make the layout shift as small as possible. And then as well, last but not least, here are web fonts. So this would again be my plea to any designers are out there to use web fonts cautiously. So web fonts are great. They give us some more design and freedom and everything, but they also cost. They have their 400 for 40 or 50K, and downloading every single font take some time. So when you're designing and deciding on fonts, please take into consideration that each one costs something, and that each of these fonts could decrease the overall performance of the website. So for example, in my page, I originally actually had 3 web fonts, and then after starting to optimize for Web Vitals, I removed 2 because one was actually bold, one was normal of the same sans serif, but I realized I can just use a normal sans serif. So I just used the system sans serif, and it worked quite well, because there are a lot of tools out there that can also help you match the styles. So you can just overlay 2 fonts over each other and just like play with some measurements in order to get them to be as similar as possible. So you can just like change some spacing between the letters and heights and everything, and they become really, really similar. And then this whole shift, when it happens, it's less, or they are like more similar to something that you already have and that you can use without loading. And for example, I choose to load only one, which is some nice cursive, which I definitely wanted to kind of, show off my personality and everything, which is definitely, something that we all like to do there. So yeah, this is the last part I wanted to share with you today. I hope I got you a nice overview over the core web vitals, why they are important, why you need to put that May into your calendars and start optimizing for it. There is a lot more about each and every single of these optimization techniques that can be the talks for itself. So maybe somewhere in the future, I explain that as well. But so far, first of all, thank you very much for listening. And if you have any questions or need any help, feel free to contact me online on any of the social media, or just drop me an email. So thank you and have a great day.